Hello, welcome to October 1st, 2022. Closing in on the end of the year. Wow, time goes. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video, an exercise that I perform every morning to remember my life objectives and principles, and to see how I'm doing applying these to my everyday. First, I'll talk about last night and yesterday. Then I will go over categorically my objectives and principles in that order. And then we'll talk about the coming day and plan how I'm going to take on any challenges that I can foresee, how I will arrange my character to address the things that I can't see, and to, what else? Anticipate what might happen and what I might do to make it a good day and a fun day. Here we go. First, last night and yesterday. Slept great last night. I mean, really good. Just got up for biology stuff, and otherwise slept till the alarm. That might be because of the melatonin that I'm taking. Also, there's another herb thing that one of my coworkers recommended that I've been trying that, so I guess I'm doubling up. It might also be by virtue of the fact that things are going very well at work. Next week's a big week, but I think I've got all the ducks lined up. Yesterday was a knockout day. Very solid, full day of work. I was at the office my Friday on. Didn't have a single meeting. I think I had one impromptu meeting. I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Two. I had two impromptu meetings, in fact. Impromptu indeed. But it went well. Gosh, it was a good day. I ended up working overtime, actually, unpaid, but just because it's an investment in feeling good. If I can get all my things in order ahead of next week, then I'm going to have a more relaxing weekend. Didn't really face with any particular challenges, although Stoicism was clearly on my mind. It's funny. It's not that I you have to think about it really anymore. It's more like having the oven turned on at all times. That's a good way. That's actually a very apt way to describe it, if I do say so myself. Always ready to bake a cake. Sorry. That's how it feels. It feels like with the hard work that I've done over the last 4 years in refining the good life, this good life creed, and studying Stoicism and thinking about it and working hard to apply it, it's like just becoming like muscle memory now. I guess this is what it's like to study a martial art, right? Where you exercise the katas, the practicing the moves, until after a while it's all just fluid and flowing. You don't have to think about it, and someone taps you on the shoulder, and that old trope. But now for me, with the Stoic approach to life, it's although it's probably less that as much as like that. 3 meetings I had yesterday, come to think of it. Yeah, it was a busy day. Okay, let's do the good life. My 7 objectives are as follows. Oh, one more thing I forgot. I did, during my lunch break yesterday, knock out the thing I was threatening to do for a couple of weeks now, which is I cleaned up the one chapter in my book, Going Alone, The Path of Wildness. I was able to do the organization that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I cleaned up some of the objectives and principles and their subordinate elements, and cleaned up some of the writing. But I have yet to instantiate that into the online version, so that you have to send that out to the printer, so to speak, and have it in place. I'll do that today. But that was a lot of work to get done, and I did it in an hour while I was eating my lunch. Very pleased with myself. Finally got that done. I'd say the book is as good as done now. Well, I just have to make sure I update it. My first objective is to be always ready to die, to have everything in a settled state. For example, my book to be in a settled state, my relationships in a stable, good place, my finances and my affairs, my business affairs, etc., in a good place as well. And they all are. So yeah, I'm ready to die. But in a deeper level, from a Stoic perspective, to be ready to die even if I'm not ready to die. That's the next goal. How do I do that? I do that by recognizing where, as Stillboat the Stoic would say, where my goods reside. These things are not my goods. They are my goods. But my inner goods are my reason, my definition of virtue, and my faculty of thinking about the world, going over options, weighing the pros and the cons, and using prudence to align my decision making with whatever path will yield the best fruits of virtue, which I define as the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures. That was a mouthful. I know I can get that better. But that is the aim of being ready to die, even if my affairs were not in order, my relationships were not sound, and my life's work was not complete. What a worthwhile and very Stoic goal. So I'll be working on that now. That's the fruit of doing this every day. That's the yield of this endeavor, to discover the deeper and more comprehensive elements of these objectives and principles. I would liken that to be a significant breakthrough, to see that it's not enough, at least from a Stoic perspective, it's not enough to have my affairs in order. It's enough to be all right with them not being in order, all the while striving for them to be better. That's one of my principles, right? The best seat in the house. Interesting how these things all kind of come together. My second objective is to make good and effective use of my time, to not waste my days. Good efforts of work, good efforts of family, good efforts of leisure, to not just let the hours and minutes slip by. Doesn't mean I have to be working all the time, but it does mean that I have to be cognizant of death. Number 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. That's these objectives and principles that I'm relating right now, which I collectively call the good life, a nod to the Stoics. These items are in my book, Going Alone, in the chapter called The Good Life, where I categorically enumerate and describe each one of them. That's what the whole point of the book is. The book is a vehicle to deliver the good life. To deliver the good life creed. Next is to, number 4 that is to cultivate good emotional reactions, to become someone who reacts well to whatever happens throughout the day. Another very Stoic ambition. Again, that kind of harkens back to the first one too. It's a deeper sense of readiness, a deeper sense of recognition of what is and what is not within my control. The application of apathy to those things to which we should be indifferent, which is anything outside of our deciding faculty, I'm not saying it very well, which is anything outside of our reasoning, deciding capabilities. I'll find a better way. What is that thing? What is that thing that reasons and decides? The reasoning faculty. Indifference is to be applied to anything beyond the reasoning faculty. Indifference is to be applied to anything beyond the reasoning faculty. The reasoning faculty. I'll remember that. Next is to always do good things. That's the next principle. To be making good efforts throughout the day. What is it? I don't say it right. To perform good actions. That's how I usually say it. Yeah, just to do good things throughout the day. Things that are contributing to the well-being of others, particularly thinking others, others that can suffer. Then comes the recognition of my true limits and my true opportunities. What is and what is not within my scope of control. What is and what is not within the scope of my reasoning faculty, that is. And then finally, to do just one thing at a time, and to do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully, just as I'm doing right now. And this is a deliberate effort. I am working at this to speak in this measured, careful way. It's about half and half. Half determined, deliberate, and half spontaneous. I'm getting better. The more I practice this, the better I get. I really want to become a person that has my meetings like this in the future at work. They're not. My meetings are more of a rushed, hastened affair. I think I'm a good speaker. It's come from years and years of practice, but definitely not as measured as this. This is the goal. And it's not contrived, because we all are, to a greater or lesser degree, willful of our speaking efforts. Whether that will be simply of what were exposed to and what we experienced and what we became accustomed to growing up, or what we have how we're determined to mold ourselves into. And there's nothing disingenuous about molding ourselves into something better. The only things that are disingenuous are things that are contrary to the findings of the reasoning faculty. The reasoning faculty. I'm going to get a lot of use out of that. A lot of work, a lot of mileage out of that. Where can I apply that? The reasoning faculty. Where would that belong? Honesty, objectivity, probably with the principle of reason. Honesty, objectivity, and doubt, and the reasoning faculty. I think I'll just struggle to keep it in my mind. Maybe I should write it down up here so that I don't forget. That's happened several times. I've had ideas that I didn't write down, and then I wanted to incorporate it into this That happened last week, actually. And I didn't write it down. It was actually pretty good, if memory serves me. But I can't remember what it is now. Anyway, there I've covered all my objectives. Let's go on to the principles now. Number 1 is the principle of war. To always be fighting against any proposition that I think is true, already think is true, or that I want to on board, or that anyone has proposed to me are true, but really only things that are important. I don't have to fight against mundane claims. Number 2 is, and the reason I want to fight against them is because I want to uncover if they're not true, right? I don't want to be onboarding stuff that's wrong. Number 2 is the principle of reason and the reasoning faculty, and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, and doubt. This is how I determine what I'm going to believe. I look at it objectively, that's numbers, and I'm honest with myself about what I see, and then I'm skeptical. Oh, and I also want to have, there's a fourth sub-principle there called humiliation. I welcome the chance to be humiliated when someone uncovers, or even if I uncover that I'm wrong about something. Thank you for the blessing of helping me to see better. 3, the homunculus, the little mortal who lives inside my head. I don't have a soul. I don't think any of us does. But I do have this little consciousness that sits right back here. But it'll die with me. 4, the Anchorhold, a little rock sticking out of the sea. It's a symbolic thing where the where the homunculus resides. Each of us on our own little rock in that same sea, waving at each other, shouting, ultimately alone, living all our lives alone within our minds. Just, being fed electrical impulses through the senses. Thus the homunculus exists in solitude, and thus it will die, and thus it will be gone forever. One day that little rock in the sea will be barren. You'll be swept away, as will I. Swept to oblivion. Fancy. Okay, next comes the home of good and evil. Right and wrong are not out there in the universe. They're just opinions that we hold. And then the purpose. And I have 3 purpose in life. The first I call biology, which is the mandate to find a mate, reproduce, and raise a child to adulthood. And I fulfilled that. 2 is the purpose of being a virtuous human being, where, as I said before, virtue is defined as seeking after the improved well-being of thinking creatures that can suffer and can know joy. Although I'd like the well-being of as many as I can, even those that can't suffer or know joy. And then 3, the purpose of pursuing the sharing of my book, Going Alone, the story of going alone and the resulting good life creed, which I do every day by making this video. Although I really need to start a project to share it more broadly. Next, the next principle is the atomic principle. Everything is made of bits and pieces, flowing and changing and forever transforming. So too you, so too me. Then the principle of nature. Everything in the universe has some particular nature, and it's good to recognize what that nature is so that we can live in a better accord with it. I recognize the nature of my coworkers and of my wife and my daughter, the nature of my little dogs, the nature of the community where I live, the nature of the community where I'm going to be living soon, etc., etc. And it helps me to get through the day, dealing with things more accurately. And then the pirate ride. I don't think free will is a thing. I think we're motivated and moved and guided and pressed. Guided, maybe, it's a tough word. It sounds like somebody's pulling the strings, but I don't think there is. We are jostled and pushed by the universe at large. That results in the decision we make. But in an interesting way, our minds are set up in such a way that we think the decisions are our own, but I don't think they are. I don't know just why we are fooled into thinking this volition is of our own doing. But it's clearly a worthwhile thing to be convinced of. It gives us maybe a sense of agency and ownership in ourselves, but I don't think we are. Not that we're necessarily determined by the universe, but we're compatible with what the universe is prodding us this way and that to do. Like I like to say, a river flowing down a canyon that goes to the left here and the right there, not by its own will, but by virtue of the topography, the geology, and the force of the natural laws that describe how the universe works. We are exactly the same. Then comes the principle called maturity, which has 3 or 4 sub-principles. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 4. Maturity consists of wisdom, remembering our past successes and failures; fortitude, the ability to push forward to do better, to take willful action, reasoned motive action, like I was trying to say. That didn't come out so well. What did I want to say? I wanted to say using the reasoning faculty to do better based on our past successes and failures. Wisdom, fortitude. Oh yeah, there's 3. And then that results in integrity, where we have the integrity that our actions are matching our wisdom, our wisdom and best practices. That is maturity. It's a state that we arrive at if we are lucky. It's hard not to arrive at it to a greater or lesser degree, but you can climb on top of the horse and ride it if you want. That's when you really start getting somewhere. Next comes the social principle. We are social creatures. We need each other. And we do better with others. Going alone, even though I wrote a book called Going Alone, I don't recommend it for too long. It does things, that state. The sub-principles are justice, diplomacy, working to be like politicians, making compromises with one another to find a way that we can come to some agreement. Justice, then seeking together after that justice over the just city. And then conspiracy, once we are in agreement, we've done that political endeavor to link arms, form a coalition, and seek after that just city together. Then comes public speaking. To be very careful about what I say and what I write. And I think there's 3 or 4 sub-principles here. Maybe it's 4, more than that. Let's see. These are best words. To choose the best words at all times. To have a rich, deep vocabulary, but to try to strive to find the best words at any one moment. Can I do it without looking at the books? I don't think so. I need a little help. So all of this is listed in my book, Going Alone, in the chapter, like I said, The Good Life. And its best words, eloquence, best words, I have to do it in the right order. Prudence. Prudence is a verb in this case. It's the action of aligning our active communication while we're writing, while we're speaking, with our values, so that we are doing things, saying things, making promises, stating our best intent, in all the while in alignment with our best with our system of belief, our well-being. System of belief isn't the right word. With our creed, right? Yeah, that's what it is. The next one is eloquence. To become someone who can speak really well, and it comes from practice. Practice. So too with writing. And then we have rumor and then gossip. Bad things to do. I don't want to trade in rumor, and I don't want to be someone who shares gossip. Now I've got a bit that's 5 principles that go together, just like peanut butter and jelly. Temperance. Life will not go well. The horror show. That which must be born, and the feast of offal. Temperance is our ability to control our reactions and our consumption to life. Like right now, I really want to wrap this up because I have things I want to do, but I'm tempering my emotions so that I can maintain this seemingly smooth and steady cadence and not to push too quickly through this important exercise, which is very important to me to do well every day. Temperance can also be applied to things like our work, how much work we actually do, how much time we spend at play, how much food we eat, how much we drink, etc., etc. It's good to have discipline and self-control. Next is, after temperance, is life will not go well, and it won't. Things are going to happen every day that will be frustrations and concerns. Someone's going to cut us off in traffic, or we're going to get the slowest line at the supermarket, or gas is going to be over $5 a gallon. Welcome to life. Expect it. Use that stoic resolve to be all right, even in spite of that stuff. Tricky to do, a very worthwhile aim. Certainly doable. It's fun after a while. It becomes like a game. 3, the horror show. It's the third of the 5. Sometimes life goes so poorly as to constitute horror. You're dead. Well, if you're dead, then the horror is over. Your prognosis of death, quick, soon, painful death. Your house burns down. A typhoon comes and destroys everything. Hurricane, if you want, whatever the case may be. Horror shows level stuff. The next is that which must be borne with an E, carried. What we have to carry is the fact of the horror show, the fact that it's happening to our friends and neighbors, the fact that if it's not happening now for us, it's coming for us, and of course the fact that every day life will not go well, things happen. Shit happens, like they say. And then lastly is, last of the 5 is the Feast of Offal. The Feast of Offal is a strange sounding principle that refers to I envision it like a feast. Offal is like the gross stuff of butcher's arts. When a butcher finishes, chopping an animal up, they take all the best chops of meat out, and then they're left with hair and skin and bones and guts. What do they do with that? Well, some of those pieces also grind up and put it into sausage, right? That's offal, the leftover stuff. There's leftover stuff in our day today, right? There's leftover thoughts in our minds. There's leftover verbiage. There's just stuff, and this kind of refuge of the day. That instead of pooping it out, and like our bodies will do, we kind of shat it out through our mouths and our looks and our, the way we treat other people. And I call it a feast because people tend to consume that. When I have a serious look on my face, and someone sees that at work, they kind of consume it, right? It's a feast. The offal is the waste, the byproduct of of our attempt to live well, the stuff that we'd be less proud of to have it sent out into the world, but it is nonetheless. So the challenge is to not do that, not to be someone who's emoting the waste, the sour, supercilious looks. I love that word, or the mean stares, or the the gosh damn it, or worse yet, among children, to be when the children are kids, just being kids, to let it out at them. That's what the aim of this goal is, to not be that person, to find a way to internalize it, to use temperance and self-control to keep it inside, because it's there, right? Because life ain't going well, and the horror show is true. And then to just get it out some other way. Sometimes you don't even have to get it out. If you can use stoic principles well enough, it doesn't even get in the first place, because we use apathy to shield ourselves from the consumption of those things. I got through the 5. Okay, next after that, let me just take a quick look to make sure I'm on track. It's all in the book. You can look it up. Oh yeah, distraction is the next principle. We spend our lives distracting ourselves from the seeming fact that God does not exist. That's what I call the great indifference, is the emptiness of the universe. What this is when you go out far enough alone into the desert. Deep, deep, deep. But it has to be the right kind of desert. It has to be a moonscape, like the Bristol Mountains. If you go out there far enough, you might see an emptiness. And then that emptiness might suggest an absence of gods. That's what we don't want to see. So we keep ourselves distracted with work and play and home and family and hobbies and TV and radio and the Dodgers and gossip and politics and sex and rumor and church and God. We can do that all of our lives and construct a seemingly quite lovely life. But is it very true? Is it very true? Is it founded on reality? It certainly is a big distraction. And maybe some people just don't give a damn. My wife is largely indifferent to the great indifference. She can get on just fine. And it don't matter, really, unless you're a person to whom being genuine matters in some way. Being genuine, at least in terms of looking at the universe in the face and being honest with ourselves about what does not seem to be there. There, I covered too. The next one is the best seat in the house, to be all right with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing, right here, right now, right who. Then comes a threefer, the restless man, the path of wildness, and the great life adventure. Really, it's a fourfer, because there's another one, the risk of avoiding risk, but let's leave that out. The restless man is this restlessness that some of us feel we want something more in life. It's natural, it's innate. It's what kept our species moving forward. It's what pushed us out of Africa when we were back in the old days to find new things, knew what was beyond the mountain overhead. And we still feel that way. If you feel that way now, if you're young in particular, I recommend stepping onto the next principle, the path of wildness. It's easy to find. It's leaves blown in the wind, a beast track in the woods, the course of a stream, and the direction of our first inclination. It's what we do when we have the courage to say, I'm going to go have a great life adventure. And then to say, all this stuff, I'm going to give it up. Yeah, give it up. Leave it behind. You don't want it weighing you down. Sure, you might not have as much as others later. Who gives a damn? Just work longer. Yeah, go have that adventure. Step upon the path of wildness. Off you go. You'll be glad you did when you're older. If you're a restless man now or a restless woman now, I'm telling you, there's a price to be paid if you don't do it later. You can say, I'll do it later. I'll get all the money first, and then I'll retire. Then I'll have my security, and then I'll do it. You won't be the same. That person won't be the same. That person's too old, too rich, too smart, too wise, too afraid to make much use of the path of wildness or a great life adventure. Gulp, yeah. Watch out. Watch out indeed. What's next? Lost my place. I think. Oh yeah. The risk of avoiding risk. That is the risk. Not going after that deep risk, the deep risk of finding oneself, having a great life adventure. The surface level risk that we tend to address that keeps us from that is the stuff that's safe and sane. education, career, home and family, and saving for retirement. It's easier to do those things because everyone's going to encourage you. Yes, go ahead, become a doctor. Yes, buy a house, marry him or her. Have 2.5 kids. Save for retirement. Do your 30 years. Retire with that gold watch. That I know that paradigm has changed, but nevertheless, you get the point, right? And then you'll be like that man around the corner. I see him almost every day in the evening. He stares at the friggin' goddamn wall. He was doing it yesterday. The garage door, he's got this beautiful house. He's got a big truck in there. And it's his, and he's got his wife's SUV. And he parks him snug in the car, and he sits there in the evenings. He's retired. I think he's retired. I see him day and night, practically. He's of that age, and this place is full of retired people, and he's got his garage door rolled up. And he stands there at the one corner, and he was doing it last night, kind of semi in the dark there. And he looks out sometimes, and if he sees me coming, he turns away. Last night, he was staring at the friggin' blank wall, and I've seen him do this several times. And then he would shoot me glances, and then back to the wall. And I've come around the corner, he's been staring at the wall before he even saw me. Now, I don't know what's going on there. There's probably a lot more to it than I'm imagining, right? But I do imagine that if you work very hard at risk management through your life, that you build yourself a castle that is safe and secure and with a sound foundation of capital locked away, lots of money, earning good interest. You don't have to worry for the rest of your life. Then what? How do you deal with the time and the opportunity at that point when you've never dealt with the time and the opportunity in any other way than to secure yourself into a position where you can have that freedom, a freedom that you don't know what to do with? That's him, I think. I could be totally wrong, but that makes a lot of sense to me. It's something to be watched out for. It's the risk of avoiding risk. Okay, next is sin and damnation. There are 7 sins in my worldview, broadly categorized as being untrue, believing things that are untrue, or saying things that are not good things to say. Rumor and gossip. So these are falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, authority, rumor, and gossip. So there's 8 of them actually. Falsity, being untrue. Credulity, believing things too readily. Faith, believing things where we use the fact that we want to believe as the foundation for the belief, which is circular. Superstition, believing things that are categorically nonsense. Dogma, believing things based on a blessed tradition or a great canonical text that and nothing more than that. Authority, believing something because we're so impressed by someone who purports it to be true. Rumor, trading and sharing the information about what may or may not be true. And then gossip, talking about others behind their back. The consequence of these things is sin in the here and now. Damnation, not sin against any god or gods, but sin against best practice, against the efforts to improve well-being. And damnation here and now, because we're being untrue, we're being fools, and we're being damned rumor mongers and gossips. Next comes complete oblivion. After we're dead, that's it. There's no final reunion with any loved ones because we're never going to see anyone again. We won't have a chance to reconcile any differences because we're never going to see anybody again. And we'll never see any justice because there won't be any of us again. We'll be gone. to better seek after reconnecting and mending fences and seeking after justice in the here and now. Although in using prescribed manners, don't be a vigilante. Then after that comes, is it the bullseye aim? Striving to hit the mark we're usually missing. The uphill climb, climbing up and up we go in life. Today higher than yesterday. Arena and utility. Life is an arena to develop good and sound principles that we can use towards the achievement of our objectives, and then to using them every day. Practice them, recite them, have them at the ready, wear them like a gun belt. Prudence, apathy, stoic indifference. Bam. Then nothing is enough. Being able to whittle things down to, as Stilbo did, to just our goods within, to the best of our ability. And then finally, the principle of fun, to try to have a good time today, thinking about what I can do to enjoy the day. And I'm doing that much better lately. I really do think about it. And also to enjoy the anticipation of tomorrow's fun, to plan for it, to make it happen, put it on the calendar, and enjoy thinking about it until we get there. And then to enjoy the remembrance of the past good times yesterday. And I'm going to do that with my wife. We're moving to a fun place. In about a month, we're going to be settled in a new home in Huntington Beach. We're going to have fun. Yumiko and I, we're going to be within biking distance of everything. Newport Beach, Long Beach, Huntington Beach, Seal Beach. All that stuff's going to be at our fingertips. We're going to get electric bikes. I'm going to get a surfboard. We are going to have fun. The weekends are going to be great. I can't wait. In the evenings, I'm going to go surfing after work sometimes. Fun, fun, fun. Why not? Dead soon. We're going to all be dead soon. You're going to be dead soon. I'm going to be dead soon. We're all going to be dead soon. All dead soon. I like that one best of all. All right, let's plan for today. Today, what am I going to do? I'm going to finish this, started uploading, go over, I'll read my Bible. The light went out on it, so I have to read my Bible in the dark. I could make a joke. Oh, I will. What the hell? If anybody made it this far. Is it all Bible reading in the dark? Yeah, I think so. From a guy who reads the Bible every day. Then I'll walk the dogs. Then I'll feed the dogs, walk the dogs, come back, fire up the computer. I want to start the books, like I said, the new version of the book uploading. Then we're going to do one last cleaning of the house. I think this is the last time we're going to clean this house like it is. And then we're going to start taking the damn place apart. Have a nice lunch together. I'm going to enjoy the day with my wife, do our shopping, etc., etc. And then we'll start taking this place apart. Get ready for our move. It's going to be fun. Our last day. Our last day in this house as it is. Yeah. Thanks for joining me. I hope you have a great day yourself. Be safe, but not too safe.